Well, let me introduce Robin. Robin Van Hoozer is one of our commuting artists. She lives in St. Joe, but she is still very active in the Kansas City market, and she'll tell you more about that, as well as her unique and involving style of painting, which is encaustic wax, and how she's dedicated herself the last couple years to our art.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Robin Van Hoozer, and I'm an artist that works with encaustic paint. And I'm represented by Sigurd Broadus Gallery in Columbia, Missouri. And I just received the 2015 International Encaustic Artist Project Grant to help fund my upcoming solo exhibition at the Kansas City Artists Coalition in December. So that's some exciting things that is coming down the pike. My journey of discovery is really two stories. One's my creative artistic journey. The other one is my journey as artist and entrepreneur. And after 31 years as both art teacher and artist, I retired from teaching and I made my artistic work my full-time career, which is quite a change from the classroom. You can see more of my work right here at the Kauffman Center because I am this session's one of the Arts KC Now Showing program artists, and my work is up here and will probably be until right after the 4th. So I have 12 pieces here. And my website's robinvanhoozerart.com. And welcome to encaustic painting. My practice is unique because of my use of this ancient medium of encaustic paint, which is beeswax with pigment and resin. Plus, I get to work with fire, which is really pretty cool. Anytime you get to work with torches and fun stuff like this, it's pretty cool. So while I was working on my MA in studio art painting at UMKC in 1996, I became interested in encaustic paint. And my process is very important to me. I'm very process driven. And it begins with a prepared wood panel that you can see at the bottom up there. Then clear paint, clear medium, and pigmented wax is melted, and you brush it on and you build it up in layers. So painting's like lasagna. You build it in layers. And you have to fuse these layers with your nice little hot tools. You can see I'm working there right now with my torch, my iron, and this little bitty hot tool called a shoe that I love to use. And my work has seen some changes. So before I retired, I began experimenting with combining different kinds of materials with the wax and using the transparent and translucent properties of the wax in my work. And during the spring of 2013, I participated in Artist Inc. to prepare for my full-time art career and focused on beginning an art practice. So this is one of the first little experiments that I did with string and wax and pouring lots of clear wax over it. This is where the magic happens. This is my studio setup. You have to vent the fumes for encaustic painting, so you have to make sure you have a safe studio. And my main costs were, of course, studio rent. I recently moved my studio to a safer location. And so studio rent, paint, encaustic paint is more costly, but it does go a long way. So, but it is a little more costly. Utilities, panels, materials, and other art materials, because I also do oil painting, drawing. I use a variety of materials in my art practice. And my time commitment is I am full-time now and go to the studio basically every day and get to play in the wax. And so after I retired in 2013, my work began to change a little bit. Before then, my work had more figurative elements, but I naturally think in abstract terms. So I found my journey came back to abstraction. And so now I have a more focused direction, which is basically thinking of painting as boundaries of color. And I'm going to expand that into my show at the Kansas City Artists Coalition called Common Ground. So Common Ground addresses issues of boundaries and borders, both geographical and societal. Okay, and this was the wrong one. There we go. In 2010, I attended the International Encaustic Conference in Beverly, Massachusetts, and was accepted into the National Jury Encaustic Show, Flow and Control. The workshops and connections that I made, and that's my piece in the middle, and I made lots of connections with nationally known encaustic artists, and those have been very valuable as I have set up my art practice. I like that, and the connections that I made there. And I also did workshops in San Francisco through R&F Handmade Paints and Kingston, New York, to learn a little bit more about encaustic and how the wax flows and what neat things it can do, because it's fun to play with. I was also in 2014 juried into the 4th annual Encaustic Wax exhibition in the Encaustic Art Institute in Cerrillos, New Mexico, near Santa Fe. They also used my work as part of the PR for the national press release. And I market my work through, of course, my website, Facebook, my gallery, Singer Broaddus Gallery, that I am represented by. And I'm also online at Saatchi Art. So those are some avenues that I market my work with. So there's the press release. And I did have the good fortune to be represented by Singer Broaddus Gallery. I was in the late summer exhibition last year, and I have sold some work through them. And so this is a great opportunity to be represented by a gallery, and so I'm really happy with that. I have another exhibition up here in Kansas City now. This is at Room 39 at Mission Farms in Leawood. So balancing my time between 2 shows in the Kansas City area, and time management is crucial to meet my deadlines, and to art marketing, studio production, because I like to be in the studio producing, most of the time. But I do quite a bit of writing, and I like to write at night. So while my husband's watching the Royals, I'm usually watching, but I'm working on my laptop as well, because I find it easier for me to write at night. It's 2 different mindsets when you're painting and writing, so I like to kind of do that. So, and this is a new series that I've done. It is 4 24 by 24 inch panels that I have. And so staying connected with the KC art market that I want to talk about is very important to my art practice. I attend openings of friends, meet for lunch, Facebook, and share ideas with many artists in the community. And the relationships that I've developed with other encaustic artists and artists in the KC area are very important. My piece, Crosslands 2, with the darker orange at the top, is also going to be, it was juried into KCAC's RE Members Exhibition, and that opens July 10th. Yes, on the 10th, next Friday. I also stay connected through Arts KC. I have participated in their Now Showing program for many years. Through Now Showing, I have gained experience in hanging a show, displaying my work, working with different business partners of KCAC, and that is an invaluable experience, just building up that knowledge base of putting shows up, taking shows down, the logistics of getting your work up on the wall. And all of these strategies, networking, Facebook, my website, and Now Showing, are important. However, I think networking has probably yielded more results for my time than any of those. And my development as artist and entrepreneur is due in large part to Artist Inc. and Arts KC. And they were very instrumental in what I've been able to do. So successes, challenges, and goals. I have accomplished a lot of my goals that I wrote in 2013 when I was first starting out. Moving into a new studio location, being represented by a gallery. My challenges now are to develop a customer collector base to have consistent sales. My goals are going to be pursuing more gallery connections in other areas and attending the 2016 International Encaustic Conference. Next year, I want to go back, and that would be fine. So I'm Robin Van Hoozer, and thank you for coming today. And
Great.
I want to thank GuildIt for inviting me.
Yeah, well, great. Yeah,
Questions?
I've known Robin for a long time, and
Yep.
really I have seen the dramatic difference she's had in her work the last couple of years now that she's dedicated herself to it full time.
Mhm.
And it's been wonderful to see that. I was wondering, for your goals, what are some of the steps you're taking to get to pursue galleries in the Kansas City market?
Okay. Well, one of the things that I'm hoping to do is to network through the RE Members Show that I'm going to be in, going to openings, going to galleries. Sometimes I do First Fridays, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to go during the week when it's a lot less crowded, and you know, talk to some gallery owners. You know, you can submit, and it's just networking. They become familiar with what they do. Most gallery owners are pretty familiar with the art scene. They know what artists are doing, so they kind of, you know, they're pretty up on what people are doing, and then if they see, you know, work that is interesting to them, they'll contact you. Networking is key in that sense. Yeah. Yes.
Beeswax, where do you get your beeswax, and how much beeswax is in a 24 by 24?
Okay. RNF Handmade Paints, there is one of the first companies that started making encaustic wax back in the 70s. And the beeswax, it comes in little pellets. You can buy it like in 5-pound bags, 1-pound bags, 3 pounds. You can buy it in different amounts. It comes in either the wax or the medium. And the medium already has the resin. The resin helps harden it, and so the medium is clear. You don't have any color. And that's what I, you know, do to get light, you know, light areas, white areas. And then you have to melt it and brush it on.
So are through New Mexico, do you have local vendors?
There are, okay, local vendors, yes. Cold Snows, Creative Cold Snows has it. Artisan Craftsmen have it. Most of the time, I order through Dick Blick. You can get it and order, I'll do a paint order and order through Dick Blick to get supplies.
And our next question?
Any classes, learn how to
Do it? Well, I'm not familiar with any encaustic workshops in the Kansas City area. Since I moved into my new studio space, a friend wanted me to do a workshop, and now she wants me to do another one. So that's something that I'm, you know, working on, and you know, that I have done. So sometimes you really have to travel to the coast. Yeah, East Coast, West Coast, there's more. But there's a lot of, also there's another artist, Amanda Jolly. She's also an encaustic artist. And I don't know if she's given any workshops here in Kansas City. But Amanda Jolly, I know she's one of my contacts. Yep.
What do you use for inspiration for your work?
I'm inspired by two things. I'm kind of a dual thing. I do like geometry, but I like when it's not perfect, okay? And that's one of the reasons that pursuing this line of thought is painting as boundaries, because with the wax, boundaries are fluid. I can change it in a second with a little heat. So my boundaries are fluid, so I like to kind of control, okay, what's going to be, you know, going a little, you know, a little crazy, and what's going to be sharp. I like putting in a little aspect of straight lines or geometric aspect, and then, so that's what kind of inspires me.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look at your work, it looks like it's aerial photography and Calder at a love shot.
I've never heard it described that way, but I like that.
Working on it.
Yeah, a lot of my new work in my Common Ground series is really, it's more aerial looking. And I'm finding I'm liking that because it lends itself more to, geometric aspects that I've always been fascinated by geometry and using that. So, but then, the wax takes over and does what it wants to do, and it's fun. Photographs really don't capture too well how luscious the wax really is. So, any other questions? Yeah.
You said you did oil paintings also?
Mhm.
Are they similar to your wax paintings?
Short answer, no, they are not. And I think they are different. I want to start working on a new series of oil paintings too, but they're similar in use and color, but they're not similar to the style. I think that's probably be they're a little bit different.
You explore like geometrics also?
Some, yes, and I'm going to be doing more of that. Yes, I am. Mhm.
Can you put the encaustic process over any other medium?
No. Okay, and the reason being is...
Sorry, what was the question?
Can you layer the encaustic over other mediums?
Okay,
Okay.
layer caustic over other mediums.
The wax has to be able to be absorbed into the surface. You can put encaustic over oil paint, like if it's on a panel. You can put it over oil paint. You can't use it over acrylic because it'll melt the plastic. Acrylic is basically plastic. Plastic and heat, not so good of friends, okay? And so you can use it over oil, and you can use oil sticks, pigment sticks, you can do that, but there's a fine line between too much oil and the wax won't harden. Yeah. Yep. Anything?
Okay, we have a question over here.
Robin, what's the lifespan of an encaustic work compared to, say, an oil painting? Is there a difference between how
There is
long?
yes, archivally, there is a big difference. The encaustic work will be here for thousands of years. Oil painting, not so much. That's why we call encaustic is an ancient medium. You can go to the Nelson, and there is an ancient Egyptian volume portrait, mummy portrait. They would work in the wax, a bunch of paintings that were portraits of the dead, people that were buried, wrapped with the mummy casings. That's actually how I got interested in wax. I was doing my master's at UMKC, and I got to study with Forrest Bailey, the former conservator at the Nelson, and he brought out one of those and put it under my nose. And, it was right there, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked, I'm in, I'm a wax person.
So it's the wax, the fact that it's on encaustic, does that also make it less vulnerable to normal environmental stresses like light? Does light degrade it over time?
No, light really, the biggest stressors on an encaustic painting are probably, heat, too high of heat.
Right.
And but the other is really like mold or mildew. It is possible for there to be a bloom on there.
The reason I'm asking is that I think that encaustic is really mysterious to people. And I think the fact that it's made with beeswax
Mm-hmm.
gives it kind of almost a crafty kind of a feel in people's minds in terms of how they respond to it,
Mhm.
which may have an impact on the pricing and how much people are willing to pay for an encaustic work
Mm.
as opposed to, say, an oil painting. I think the more you demystify that process and share with people the
Mhm.
longevity and the stability and
Yes,
the
it's very
enduring value
Yep.
of an encaustic work, you may be able to increase your prices
Mm.
to a point where you are having more success financially
Mhm.
without doing much other than just how you promote yourself and the kind of an
Exactly.
education you give your collectors. You talked about wanting to build your collector base.
Mhm.
It seems like some more basic information about encaustic and its value might be really helpful.
That's a very valuable concept. When I became represented by Sager Broadus, it was interesting because that was never brought up as an issue in my pricing with, my gallery owner. That was never brought up. But it's the idea. Exactly. And I think you're right. Getting more people familiar with will kind of, demystify it. So, exactly. That's a very good point. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you always paint on a wooden surface or
Yes.
can you paint on canvas?
If you would do like a totally encaustic painting on a canvas, it would crack. There's different techniques. You can add like cold wax, medium to oil paint. You want to avoid a 50-50 mix, but it is done on a wood panel because the wax has to be able to adhere into something absorbent. Clay that has not been glazed, I've put wax over clay and wood where it can actually become a part of the surface. My panels, they have encaustic gesso now, just like, regular acrylic gesso, and you put that on there so that I have a white surface. But yeah, all of the work is done on a wood panel. Mhm. Yep. Okay.
I wanted to ask you, networking is key for you, and you have a great personality for it. And I've seen you keep friends from when we shone together and when, 10 some years ago, and from friends from Artist Inc.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain those connections? And
Well, sometimes we go out to lunch, friends of mine. It's like my Artist Inc. connections are very important. And my connections with other artists are very important. And I think it's key. You don't have to be in touch all the time. It's not a question of that. It's just more like being aware of what other artists are doing, and you've heard of this artist and that artist and say, oh, I might want to go check that out. And, those connections are important. I have connections with some national encaustic artists that I made at 2010. And, I Facebook with them. There's a couple of encaustic groups on Facebook that have a lot of people that I know, and we, post pictures of our work or ask technical questions. Like if I have something I don't know the answer to, I can get on ProWax forum and say, hey guys, has this ever been a question? I think sometimes too, when you're an encaustic painter, people kind of remember that, and they kind of remember who you are, because you're like the different one in the group. So they, oh yeah, she's that one. I remember her, you know. So, you know, they kind of, remembering. But I do keep in
Great.
touch.
Great. And now for our last question. What can we as a community do to help you?
As a community, I think the Kansas City arts community is wonderful, and there's a lot of venues. There's a lot of opportunity. I think one thing that we need to do is encourage sales. If someone you know has a piece that they like, or there's a piece that you like, you might consider actually buying it if the piece speaks to you. If it speaks to you, I think encouraging actual sales and sales from businesses in the community. I think that's one thing. But I love the Kansas City arts community. It's a lot of opportunity, a lot going on. So, yep.
Great. Thank you very much, Robin.
Thank you.
Let's have a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.